This video is brought to you by Squarespace. On February the 17th, 1967, the Beatles released a single which sent shockwaves through the pop world. I'm Andrew from Parlogram, and with the help of this remarkable scrapbook, I'll explain in detail how fans and critics in Britain responded to what became one of the most significant and influential singles ever released. At the beginning of February 1967, there had been no new Beatles music since Revolver 6 months ago. There had also been no new studio album that Christmas, just a garish compilation of hits prophetically titled A Collection of Beatles Oldies. When the Beatles reconvened at Abbey Road on November the 24th, 1966, they were a different group, and the song they began recording that evening would not only change their lives, but also alter the landscape of popular music. But it wasn't until late January 1967, just a few weeks before the single's release, that fans were given their first public glimpse of the new Beatles. This was one of the first pictures published of the new Beatles. It showed them inside Abbey Road Studio No. 2 with the title Beatles Back Again, adding that this picture was taken when they recorded their new single. The release date for the new single emerged soon after, and the pop music papers began once more to fill with Beatles stories. In addition to the excitement surrounding the record's release, there was equally exciting news about a film that would accompany it. In this article from the February 18th edition of the New Musical Express, journalist Keith Altham spoke with Peter Goldman, the 31-year-old Swedish TV producer who directed the films.
Peter is a living example of how to think and be young. He was dressed like an advert for Carnaby Street, in a green velvet frock coat with a yellow polka dot flap-over tie and a snappy black cap. He is 31 and looks as if he were in his early 20s. "My first meeting with the group was at Ringo's house," said Peter. "He was very kind and took me for a walk in his garden with his wife, Maureen, and their little white poodle dog, Tiger. I got my boots all muddy, and Ringo insisted on giving me another pair to replace them. That is really typical of him. Nearly everything went wrong during the filming, but the Beatles were very patient. The horses we got for the Penny Lane clip proved to be spirited, and when the Beatles got off them, they just bolted. It took us a couple of hours to recapture them from the far side of the park. Then, when I arranged this weird tree piano in a field, all the wires we had tied to the branches of a tree broke in a gust of wind, and we had to begin again. Ringo, I found, was very well informed on camera and photographic techniques, and Paul was a most entertaining conversationalist, but the group had all informed me that I was the director, and so I must direct."
Permission to show the film on the BBC's Jukebox Jury the weekend before the single's release was denied by Brian Epstein. This was due to the show's format, which meant that they would only play a short section of the film. However, both films were shown in full the following Thursday on Top of the Pops, on the eve of the record's release. Pirate radio station Radio London claimed the first airplay of the disc.
Wonderful Radio London, biggest sound around Big L.
Strawberry Fields Forever, recorded by the Beatles, and of course the Beatles always first on Radio London. In fact, the Beatles tour of America was a milestone in Radio London history. Kenny Everett accompanied the Beatles in the autumn of 1966, and he recorded conversations with the four Liverpool lads and spoke to Paul Kay in England. And amongst the cities Kenny visited were San Francisco, Chicago, Los Angeles, Dallas, New York, and also Toronto. This is 266. If you just joined us, very good morning to you. 24 minutes now before 12 o'clock, and dealing with holidays.
When you're away on the holiday.
Strawberry Fields Forever, backed with Penny Lane, was released as a double A-sided single in the UK on Parlophone on Friday, February the 17th. And in a first for a UK Beatles single, came in a picture sleeve, which was limited to the first 250,000 copies.
Operator, could you give me the correct time?
At the tone, it would be exactly 10:15.
Now, could you give me the weather?
Cloudy with some brief showers.
Say, why not meet me after work and we'll have a ball? A simple no would have done it.
Please stay on the line for this next important message.
Running a business as a creator or an entrepreneur isn't easy, and you need all the help you can get to make it a success. But that's where this video sponsor Squarespace can help. With their award-winning templates and AI blueprint design intelligence technology, Squarespace can help you create a stylish, professional-looking website in no time at all. A Squarespace website makes it easy to sell physical products and content, such as online courses, blogs, videos, and memberships. With Squarespace Payments, you can get paid quickly and manage all of your payments in one place. You can charge your customers a one-time fee or give them access via a subscription. And they can pay you by using any one of these popular online payment methods. Find out what Squarespace can do for you and your business today by heading on over to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/parlogram to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. YouTube is full of reaction videos where folks, mostly young, listen to a song, allegedly for the first time, and then give their reaction to it. But back in 1967, things were done a little differently. Take a look at these teenagers from 1967 as they give their reaction to Dick Clark on American Bandstand, immediately after having been shown the video of Strawberry Fields Forever.
Then I want to get your impression of what you've just seen as they slowly fade away. What did you think of that?
That was great.
What did you think?
I don't like their hair. Their mustache.
You didn't dig the mustaches, huh? What was your comment?
I don't know, they looked older and it ruins their image, really.
Mm-hmm. How did you feel?
That was funny.
And you?
I liked it.
They're ugly. Their mustaches were weird. Look like grandfathers or something.
Man?
Look like somebody's grandfather. But they looked okay.
Looked good.
They're as bad as the monkeys.
They just look different than they used to.
Yeah, that's pretty safe to say.
Clearly, most of those teenagers were in shock and understandably at a loss for words. But unfortunately, that's essentially all we have regarding contemporary fan reaction in the US to this single. Britain, on the other hand, was fortunate to have a large and well-established pop press. As the print reviews started to come in, it's clear that the critics didn't know what to make of it, Strawberry Fields Forever especially.
One really needs a couple of pages to fully describe Beatle discs these days. Take Strawberry Field. How do you get across this slightly dirgy, depressing, rolling, oddly backed, harmonium-pumped atmosphere? Mostly it's John, with odd vocal bits from Paul. It's advanced, a bit technical, but massively compelling. But then, how do you deal, properly and briefly, with Penny Lane, which is mostly Paul with bits of John? This is perkier, with excellent lyrics and a poetic quality, with brass, with atmosphere, a trumpet obligato, sturdy beat. What you do say is, play it, both sides, bye. Then study this well-constructed pop music. Top 50 tip. Certainly the most unusual and way-out single the Beatles have yet produced, both in lyrical content and scoring. Quite honestly, I don't really know what to make of it. The complex backing consists of flutes, cellos, harpsichord, and weird effects, plus constantly changing tempos, including a startling glissando that sounds as if the disc is slowing down. It builds to a bustling crescendo with crisp brass. Completely fascinating, a record that becomes more spellbinding with every play. John takes the lead on Deep Echo. Flip, by far the more commercial sounding of the two sides. Again, the flutes and brass are prominent, but this one has a jaunty jogging rhythm, a catchy tune, some of those familiar Beatle falsettos, and a colourful lyric.
Neither did fellow musicians, like, for example, Manfred Mann.
Says Manfred, I'm glad I had the opportunity of hearing it more than once. In fact, Klaus had a copy soon after it was recorded and brought it round for me to hear. The first time I heard Penny Lane, I thought it was fairly pleasant, but it left me rather cold. Then I would find myself waking up in the middle of the night with a tune on my mind and realise it was Penny Lane. It's an excellent record. It has an obvious, more immediate appeal than the other side. It must be a success. Must be number one. The lyrics are good. Strawberry Fields struck me at first as being manufactured and over-clever. Initially, I thought here are four guys trying to show they are not being left behind. On second hearing, the song seems to hang together a bit more. It's very good. Basically, a good melody. The way they record is brilliant. Everything here is so well thought out.
Fans' opinions were unsurprisingly split.
First time I heard the Beatles' Penny Lane, I thought, here is something that could revolutionise the whole pop scene again. It's absolutely fantastic and is such a catchy tune that I wake up singing it.
Angela Ray doesn't sound like a loyal Beatles fan to me. She denounced their new single before it was even released. I was never a Beatle fan, but Penny Lane has won me over completely. A quality performance, with well-thought-out words that draw word pictures and a very catchy tune. The Beatles are finished. They come up with weirder and weirder music. Their latest offering is rubbish. Why don't they accept the fact that they were once pop heroes, but now are just an ordinary group? If the Beatles' new record fails to make number one, it will be a reversal of pop music trends. Out will be progressiveness and originality, and in, mediocrity.
I'm not a Beatle fan, but credit where credit is due. This record is beautiful, in the sense that the Beatles have tried to convey to us in words the sights of our everyday world, and to me this is pure beauty. I wish more artists would try this type of song. Then we would see the weeding out of the good from the bad, the sincere from the insincere, and the intelligent from the unintelligent.
So the Beatles have been voted the world's top group by your readers. If they record any more songs like Strawberry Fields Forever, then they won't stand much chance next year. Strawberry Fields Forever is not, as so many people have said, terrible, meaningless and a load of rubbish. When I first heard it, I admit I didn't care for it. Now I've bought it and discovered that it is really good.
However, what happened next was something nobody had expected. The British charts in early 1967 were an odd mixture of incredible pop records from the likes of the Monkees and the Rolling Stones, mixed in with housewives' favourites from Tom Jones, Petula Clark and Engelbert Humperdinck.
Please release me, let me go.
Penny Lane, there is a barber showing photographs.
Strawberry Fields Forever, Penny Lane entered the UK charts on February the 23rd at number 5. But the record that was outselling it wasn't by the Stones, the Hollies, or the Monkees.
Engelbert Humperdinck is fighting a furious chart battle with the Beatles for next week's number one spot, with Petula Clark unlikely to hang on to the spot for a third week. Engelbert's enormous sales suggest that he could hold off the Beatles, currently number 3 from number 1 for a second week, to create a situation that hasn't happened since they started getting chart toppers. By Tuesday, the Beatles' sales of Strawberry Fields Forever, Penny Lane, had clocked 350,000, while Release Me had almost reached the 500,000 mark.
The single stayed at number 2 for 3 weeks and became their first single since Love Me Do not officially to make number 1 in the UK. However, due to the vagaries of the chart system at the time, one of the major music papers, The Melody Maker, did make it number 1 on their chart. Things were different in the US, where the charts were compiled from radio plays rather than sales, and this led to an odd situation of the single occupying 2 separate chart positions. Despite Strawberry Fields Forever opening up an early lead, Penny Lane became the favourite song. On March the 14th, it topped the Billboard Hot 100, with Strawberry Fields Forever quite a way behind at number 16. But I think former Beatles press officer Derek Taylor provided this single's best and most erudite review.
Penny Lane is the most requested song on the air in Los Angeles this week, and it is also the best. It is the best of the best of the best group in the world. Strawberry Fields is the next most requested song, and seems to be the side the groups like best. The margin of preference is, fan or groups alike, slight, however. And against the total musicality of the Beatles, the choice is academic and of little consequence. Penny Lane, as I was saying when I interrupted myself, is a lovely shining song, so light and up and on and along and full of reds and yellows and blues. It reminds me of Noddy in Toyland. Purity, almost. Almost. The imagery is so clear that people here so far from England can feel the rain, can see the banker with no Mac, can share the conversation in the barbers, and read the tattered copies of the Illustrated London News on his wooden benches, can see their own reflections in the gleaming fire engine. Strawberry Fields is beautiful too. I find it unbearably sad and full of pain. As Jack the Jock would say on JBJ, with a spread of his grinning subtopian palms, what can you say about the Beatles that hasn't already been said? What indeed, Jack the Jock? What can you say that hasn't been said before? Said so well by the Beatles themselves. Incomparably said. Enough said.
This single was the Beatles sending a clear message. This is our world. If you want to join it, okay. If you don't, we'll leave you behind. It was a single that was ahead of its time, and fans and critics today regard it as one of, if not the best of their 45s. But what do you think? Do let me and everyone else know your thoughts in the comments. Next week, we'll continue with our journey with a group that was seen as taking over from the Beatles in 1967, the Monkees, by looking at their second album, More of the Monkees. So make sure you're subscribed and notified so you don't miss out on that. Anyway, that's all for this one, so I'll say bye for now and thanks for watching.
La da 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 dee 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 da 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 dee 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 da 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 dee. I'll be with you all again tomorrow morning. La da dee 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 da.